Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Tea and Coffee with Paula and
Jay. And yes, we are testing the water. Something might be up with Paula. We're not sure what's going on. There you go. Good morning. Welcome to the morning show with Paula and Jay. That's for our friend.
Yep.
But good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Paula and Jay. We are now on 37 episodes, and we haven't killed each other yet.
Well, and you guys are still here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the numbers are growing, getting better, and we're really pleased that we kind of got this routine going now. 21 days is a habit. We're well into that now.
There you go.
Yep. And a couple. There we go. Gotta get the right buttons. This is our button. This is our producer, a camera person. Couple more changes to the studio, and then I think we're gonna be done.
That's what he keeps saying. That's what you keep saying. It's like an addiction you have. Okay, we'll get this done and maybe a little bit more. But c'est la vie. Like, it's what people do. That you do something like, okay, do a little bit more. I can tweak that. But you are the one that keeps adding to the studio list.
Improvement, not addiction. Improvement. Well, yeah, because this camera gives us some GIF sometimes, and I'd love to talk about big tech again. Because last time we did, this camera shut itself off several times because it's a cell phone. So we're just we got the equipment, so we went really inexpensive on that because it's just that camera, that shot, this guy right here.
Yeah.
And we'll get that done. Oh, and for the people that complained about my video on Friday because I kept touching my face. That's for you. We'll get into that video soon.
You do, though. You are very. So, I'm getting the finger, folks.
No, I have 10 fingers.
He gave me the finger.
Nobody saw it. Can't be true. Denial.
He said, she said.
She said what?
She said what?
Anyways, good morning, everybody. Hopefully you're in a good mood too. Lots to cover. We had a nice weekend.
You had a busy weekend.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into our dinner in a moment. But the homestead update is backup generators connected, gas and runs. So that's our backup generator, like the backup to the main generator. So when we say backup generator, don't think that Generac is done. It's more work to be done there, but we'll be getting there. But we have our backup to the backup generator is now running.
Yep.
Yay.
Yep.
And I see hair. Where's my hair and makeup person?
It's look, it got wetted and it got brushed or combed, and it's like
wetted.
It's wetted.
I am sorry for all you folks there that have to listen to this.
Old English folks, wetted.
You are at that age. You can get to old English. Oh, dude,
now. Yes, I am. I am at the old English age.
I can't laugh because my right knee is sore. Why? Because I was kneeling to do the video yesterday. And it's still sore.
Yeah, well, you can't laugh because also you're 2 years older than me. So you're old.
That's what nature said.
I'm old English. You're old Canadian.
You need to marry somebody slightly taller and older than you. You did.
They did. Not slightly. You're good distance. Well, you're about 6 inches taller than me.
That's what happened to my hair. The jet stream. It's a jet stream.
Oh no, 8 inches because I was 5'7". Who knows what I am now?
5'7" and 6'3".
Yeah, 8 inches. There you go.
You like that?
Yep.
She has to put platforms on and stuff.
I wear my heels. Yep. Yes.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, so we're in a good mood. It could be the water, but we'll leave it. If it is the water, we'll keep it.
Yeah, we'll keep it for sure.
Sounds good. So let's talk about our dinner last night.
Well, forget your dinner. Yeah, our dinner, I say. It was fantastic, by the way. A lovely conversation. Well, no, we'll get to that, but I wanted to give a shout out to thank you to Family Friendly Edmonton. They're an organization, they're a group, I post on Facebook, and they arrange for group activities for kids. And we've done the West Edmonton Mall Water Park.
Is this a homeschool thing?
They reach out to homeschoolers. I suspect there are some that get in there that aren't homeschoolers, but the whole point is that instead of having like 2,500 people going to Galaxyland at the West Edmonton Mall, which is where they have rides and things like that for kids, it was 500. So as part of a gift for our boys, their birthdays, we took them and a friend to go there on Saturday, and from 7:30 to 10:30, kids had a fantastic time. And so Family Friendly Edmonton are always finding group activities where it's like a fraction of the amount of people go, and a fraction of the price was like half price tickets. So instead of being like $68, it was $35. So it makes it really affordable for more than one person to go. and a great opportunity for the kids. So they've been doing stuff over the summer. They did 2 water park activities, and then they did Galaxyland on Saturday. So thank you very much for those that organize it. I know, one of them in particular, so thank you very much. Already reached out to say hi, and thank you. And yeah, kids had a great time. We came home close to midnight, but they had a good time.
Yeah, and I missed you guys.
Yeah.
No, Saturday, you guys were gone. You finished my show on Saturday. I'm like, now what? Doom, doom, doom,
Yeah,
doom, doom, doom. But no, very cool that things like that exist.
Mhm.
And there's a lot more homeschooling here in Alberta than most parts of the province or the country.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the support around here. And yeah, the boys loved it. They came home tired.
Yeah,
As they
it's
should.
always good. And then we had a yesterday.
Yep. So our dinner yesterday, we went to. Well, I filmed for our Dan Hartman, Sean Hartman film. We're doing a documentary on him and his story and his son. And as part of that, Dr. Roger Hodgkinson provided some very well, I would say, provided some very, very well thought out and hard hitting pieces of information about the story. So I went and recorded that yesterday with him, and then we stuck around for dinner and got to see his property and eat some of that lovely food and lots of veggies from his garden, and it was really nice. But you're more of the social butterfly. Him and I spent a lot of time chatting, but what do you think?
Yes, us women folk retired to the kitchen as we tidied up, and we put the world to rights too. Like we had great, his wife is a great woman. We had good conversations and just basically shared what we thought about everything and how things have been going. And yeah, it's very disappointing, but I think I'm a little bit more hopeful than her because we have younger kids, so I'm more hopeful for their future. But at the end of the day, it's it was good to have conversations. It was good to have time together with people, and it was a lovely evening. The kids had.
Yeah, no, lovely place, and definitely want to do more of those because we don't really get out a lot. But yeah, good people. So if you ever get the opportunity to meet them or hang out with them or eat their honey,
Great people.
or you get the pleasure of sitting down with their veggies in your plate, do so.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. But let's go ahead and jump into the news because we have some excellent guests today, and we definitely want to get there on time. Okay, so our episode on Friday was with Vlad. Very good information about Proud Boys, Antifa, goes back many, many, many years, even before Trudeau. How Proud Boys have always been the group that would protect and buffer between Antifa, so they were anti-Antifa. And then they were designated as a terrorist organization in Canada after Biden did it in the US. But Antifa has not been designated as a terrorist organization in Canada, even though Trump just did that. So jump into that episode. It was definitely full of information, first-hand witness testimony, and a little bit more about how this is kind of not just an Ottawa issue. This is a nationwide and international issue. So check that out because the Antifa issue is definitely being talked about more and more by at least conservatives, and it's about time. Okay, glad they're catching up, but go and see that if you haven't seen it yet. And then we get into a whole bunch of news. So Wiretap Media again. So Wiretap Media CA on X. He is definitely pulling together all of the receipts around Antifa and Canada Anti-Hate Network, Barbara Perry, the connections. And his post here is, according to the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, Barbara Perry, everyday middle-class white conservative families who believe in oil and gas and legal gun ownership are far-right neo-Nazi extremists. Reason number 1,278 of why Alberta should be separating, because this is some of the crazy stuff that's in Ottawa. Not only do they hate our industry, they hate us. And they've absolutely, I've heard this before from this exact person, Barbara Perry, in the trial for Chris Carbert and Tony Olenek in the pre-trial. So my post here is, this is precisely what Barbara Perry said in the pre-trial for Chris Carbert and Tony Olenek. In fact, when someone present reported this to the public, they were threatened with a charge for violating the publication ban and were also banned from attending the remainder of the trial. It was all very, very gross to witness. So if you were there, you actually saw this happen. This was Marco Van Hugenbos who posted about Barbara Perry's disgusting comments during the pre-trial. And because it was pre-trial, that was considered a violation of the publication ban. brought forward with his post to the judge, and the decision was to ban him from the rest of the trial. So Marco wasn't able to be there at all during the pretrial trial after that point. And why? Well, he told the truth. He told the truth about what Barbara Perry is saying. We can say it now because the trial's over.
Yeah.
But Marco at the time got into a lot of trouble for letting the world know that Barbara Perry is a horrible, horrible, hateful person, especially towards basically every Albertan. So this is continuing. So thank you to Wiretap for putting this together. And I hope the Conservatives even start looking at her. They're starting to talk about Canadian Anti-Hate Network. Maybe they'll start looking at her.
Yeah.
The things that's being said.
The people who hate.
There's no proof on what she says. Just says it. And she's also part of the consultation for the legislations around any hate bills in Canada. Bill 63, which is coming back. I'm sure she had a role in Bill C9, which is happening now. And I believe Bill 63 in a new form is coming back, as we predicted. As we predicted.
Yeah, they'll try again.
For sure. So keep an eye on that. Canada isn't a hateful place. Just a couple people are creating the illusion of hate. Celebration for Sean Hartman. His 4-year anniversary was on Saturday of his passing. So Dan was posting, and you'll see in a bit, we joined one of his spaces on Saturday to say some nice words to him. It was great to see that community come together. About 4 years ago, on the 27th of September, he lost Sean. So sorry. But he's fighting. He's fighting like no man I've ever seen before. Super proud of this guy. Dan, keep it up. We love you. And JJ was pleased to learn that smoked meat, is it? Smoked ham. One of the rats that he met when we visited Dan at his property in Ontario is they breed rats.
Yep.
And there's the people that buy these, and they spend good money on this stuff. It's a pretty good thing. But smoked ham was the one that kind of attached to JJ pretty quickly. I think it peed on her.
Peed and pooed.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
Anyways, she's pregnant.
Yes, she's with the rat.
Rats.
Rats.
So
yes,
it's
exactly,
a litter.
Yeah.
So JJ was all excited. Talked to Dan yesterday and Angela about it, and they're going to name one of them JJ.
Yes.
And he gets to pick after they're born which one.
Which tiny little pink wiggling thing do you want named after you?
Yeah. So he was very excited about that. So thanks, Dan, for sharing that with us, and it was great to catch up with you. Jason James is doing some good work as well, as usual. This guy is awesome. He interviewed Bruce Party on money laundering and fentanyl and organized crime in Canada. But no, Canada's a safe haven for that. But if you misgender somebody, you could be going to prison. Absolutely could go to prison. The life in prison stuff that they're putting together with C9 is just horrible.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things in Canada, as we see. You can kill people and only get a handful of years. But boy, if you say what they consider to be hate, it's going to be nasty for you. We're going to see if this actually comes to fruition, to see if this happens. This could be one of the issues, ideally, that the Bloc and Conservatives get together on and stop. Maybe force a new election. Who knows? We'll see how this goes. But I doubt it, because the NDP are definitely for this. So NDP plus Liberal equals enough to stay in power again. But we'll see where this goes. But Canada's not hateful. The Bible says the only thing that you hate is evil, and you love everything else. And Canada's not a hateful country.
I love this comment here from Colleen. When the internet bill gets passed, I'll probably get off Facebook, or I should say fake book.
Sorry, Colleen. You can jump onto other platforms to find us. We're on all of them. But we'll see where this goes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll see where this goes. Okay. And Antifa. So Trump. Okay. So breaking. This is from Nick Sorter.
Sorter, yeah.
Yep. Breaking. Multiple U.S. attorneys have been ordered to draft plans to investigate an organization funded by George Soros, or per the New York Times. About time. Okay, this is one of the worst kept open secrets that we all knew about for many, many moons now. This guy is absolutely got an interest in destabilizing the Western countries, whatever his motives are. Somebody's got to take a look at that. And part of that is some funding. I've seen some more reports since then where he will seed fund, and then those organizations will then leverage taxpayer programs to fund the rest of it. So it's not like he's doing 100% funding.
Yeah.
He's funding just enough to get the grants and taxpayer money into the organizations. And Canada's contributed to that. U.S. aid contributed to that. The Global Affairs Canada is where it was our U.S. or is our U.S. aid version where we fund and grant stuff. So Global Affairs Canada, U.S. AID, plus a little seed money from him creates organizations that cause a lot of havoc all over the place. So good luck. I'm glad that they're looking into it finally. And my comment here is, hey, Antifa, where's your money going to come from now? I would say learn to code, but AI has taken that over. Seriously, you'll need a real job now. Best of luck. Because this is a paid agitation.
Yeah.
These organizations don't do it because they think they're helping or changing the world for the positive. They're doing it because they are motivated by money and also hate. So
yeah,
we'll see where that goes. Trump breaking. President Trump signals more indictments are likely following former FBI Director James Comey's. There will be others. They weaponize the Justice Department just like nobody in history. So there's more of that going to be coming. And if I were Trump, I would start with Biden's entire pardon list. It's 9,000 people long. So start right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Like at the end of the day, like this, yeah, it's a good list to start off with and start work your way down. Like, why did that list exist?
That's Santa Claus's naughty list. So take a look at that one. And
check it twice.
Yeah. Why do you need to be preemptively pardoned? Like, that was so weird. Like, there was no charges or convictions, but still pardoned a bunch of people. So take a look at that one. So today our guest is going to be Matt Alexander. At least we remembered his name. So Nick and Josh are his sons. They're the ones that are out there doing some fighting for Saving Canada. So Save Canada is the organization. Matt and his wife as well have been targeted, lost their jobs. It's quite the story. So Matt will be joining us today. And then Mario for the North. And his name is Mario Zelaya. How do you say that?
I don't know.
Zela. Okay, yay. I'm not the only one. And he'll be joining as well. So they will share the post later, but Libs of TikTok picked that up and put it out there. So that's some great awareness because there's certainly a large account on X. And we'll get into how Matt and his wife lost their job and the support that family has been receiving and needs in order to continue these kind of battles.
Yeah, and shout out to Melissa McKee, who's in the Facebook chat, who's a great supporter of the Alexander family.
Love that woman. Best hugs in Bikers Church for sure. If you ever feel low or you just want to be around good people and you're in the Ottawa area, go check out Bikers Church. It's fantastic. Andy Lee, somebody who's going to be joining at least one of our episodes in the near future. She is still coming down with all the receipts. She's been talking about Canada Anti-Hate Network before it was cool and Antifa. Yeah. She's already received a lot of pushback when she started to break this stuff. She lost her podcast and other things. But Rachel Thomas, again, is starting to speak up more, which is good. Conservative MP down in Lethbridge. And Andy Lee's doing some good work here. But here's what's happening now, and it's probably a good sign. These liberals are claiming they don't know who it is, who Canadian Anti-Hate Network is. So Marco Mancino, just the other day to Chris Stacey said, I don't even know who that is. Mendocino, thank you. Said, I don't even know who that is. Yes, he does. We kind of put the receipts together where he's absolutely had some interactions and reports from them, and he should absolutely. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't read the stuff on his own desk. Now, Stephen Gilbert is, anyways, whatever his name is, he claims he doesn't know that Canadian Anti-Hate Network is up to. He just doesn't keep track or something like that. But he gave one of their founders an executive director role at the Canadian Race Relations Foundation in 2020. So he knows who these people are. But that's actually a good sign when they start jumping ship and saying, hey, I don't know who that is. Doing that little Homer Simpson into the bush thing. Yeah, when they start doing that, maybe they see the writing on the wall. Because it's connections to Antifa, terrorist organization, U.S., and they know what they're up to because they fund them. They're a group that goes after right-leaning. Anybody right of socialism, they go after them, which is basically 95% of the country. But anyways, it seems like they're starting to jump ship now, which is a good sign. So let's see where they go with that. How are we doing on time? Excellent. All right. So it's not Cleaver, it's Clever. Thank you for helping me correct this here. But here we go. The bad thing about conspiracy theories is they become conspiracy facts, and then we need to find new ones. It's basically a comment from Donald Best. 6 to 18 months after we learn things, it turns out to be true. Digital ID is very, very, very real. This is part of the WEF and SDG programs. They want to make sure that digitally everybody's connected to a global database. The end goal is to have social credit scores like in China on everybody, force you to do things. Your carbon footprint is part of their formula. Your obedience, your willingness to just do what they say, this is all part of the formula. Go take a look at China's social credit score. It's been around for a long time, but this has been rolled out globally, one province, state, region, and country at a time. So the UK, so Starmer, okay, he's issuing it now. So, and he's trying to tie it into immigration, illegal migration. So he has a post here. I know you're worried about the level of illegal migration into this country. Digital ID is another measure to make sure it's tougher to work here illegally or tougher to work illegally here, making our borders more secure. Ours is a fairer Britain built on change, not division. This is as Marxist as it comes because the real problem is the open border, not the fact that they are not having a proper ID for jobs. When it comes to illegals, they don't even use current ID to get the jobs. There's a lot of networks and communities that support illegal workers because they're cheaper. They work for under the table. They don't have to pay taxes and stuff on them. So a digital ID is not going to stop a darn thing. What he did do here, and I'll kind of highlight my post here. Clever. How many birds will they kill with one stone with open borders? Also, not sure if you noticed, but he admits that illegals are crossing the border by saying they won't have digital IDs for work. So tackle the problem where it is. It's at the border and then deport. No, this digital ID thing is not meant to stop illegals from working. So what a moron on many levels. There's entire communities and support networks that don't care about ID for illegals to work, and digital ID is no different. In fact, illegals will be harder to track than citizens who have the mandatory digital ID. Canada is next, and Alberta may be first. Yikes. Alberta's kind of taken a couple steps in that direction already with the Alberta wallet and the One ID. So we're heading in that direction already. We talked about that on our Saturday show with Nico and the rest of the panel. But his admission that illegal migration is there and that they're taking jobs was mind-blowing. And how he's trying to tie that into digital ID being the solution is baloney. This is a way to track all their citizens. Illegals are still going to be there picking up the jobs without work. That's the whole point. So digital ID is not going to do a darn thing other than he's trying to convince people to take it. Oh, by the way, it's mandatory. It's going to be mandatory for their work. So this came out too. It's not just a solution from him to fight illegal migration. In order to work in the UK, you're going to need digital ID. So there you go. It's become mandatory, and people are going to have to take it. So I got to let you guys all know about this Universal Ostrich Farm stuff that's been going on. So for a week or so, I've been communicating with some people, they've been providing links. We've been digging into the information because there's very little information really available out there. And after going through all of this stuff, me being the type where I want to get primary source information, like talk to the people. As I was doing my research, because I wanted to bring you guys the truth as far as I could find it, I ended up down the virologist path, reached out to our good friend, Dr. Speaker, because he's a virologist, and said, hey, look, I want to talk to this Dr. Angela, who's on X, who's a bit of an X fight with Viva Fry, and I want to know what's going on, because the things she's saying, I want to confirm and see what's going on there. And as I was trying to get in contact with her through that path, I ran into some more information, and I got connected to Dr. Stephen Fletch. I don't know. Yeah. So great man. He's crossed our path before when it came to, well, why can't we talk about this video? He was in there. And when I saw him in there, he blew my mind because he was telling the truth about Vax injury. He's not canceled in any way, shape, or form.
Still
He's highly
licensed, all that
credentialed.
stuff. Yeah.
Yep, he's got all that stuff. So we talked on the phone, and I came at it from, hey, look, I'm hearing about, this is a biolab and this is open air and this is a problem. And I came at him from that angle. And his answers were absolutely honest and credentialed and made a lot of sense. So found out that he was one of the experts that was not allowed to testify. They didn't even cross-examine him, heard about all that stuff, and absolutely opened my eyes to more of the story. And then it made me realize very quickly, well, I've seen this before. They did this with Detective Helen Gruce, where they shut down the defense. It didn't make its way into the record. And if you only use the government's record about what's going on, you're only going to get the government side.
Correct.
So digging even further and peeling this back to see what's going on, there's a lot. So watch this video. It went very viral for us. It's well over 50,000 views now on all our platforms and growing. This is a good interview because I learned a lot. So check it out. And then also be careful, because the group that was trying to give me this information turned on me immediately and started to poke fun at me and make some subtle warnings. I better take care of myself type of things. And it's just really gross now how this group, who was originally, sleuths trying to bring information forward, turned out to be knuckleheads. So be careful with that kind of stuff. Check it out and make sure when you're doing good journalism, you're uncovering as many stones as you can.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's also why we were reserved on sharing what we were finding out, because we're going through the phase of the skeptics and the critics and the cynics. We're going through that information. I got to tell you, sometimes when they stitch this together, it does sound plausible, but without evidence and without proof, it's speculation and hypothetical. And I see our two guests. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to wrap up the news of the day. So do check out that episode, and I do plan on having some more interviews. One of them is Dr. Brian Bridle. Unfortunately, he's going through a very serious, and this is public already. This has been public by Dr. Speaker, issue with his wife, who's very, very ill. Can't get into the details of how ill and what she's going through, other than please send your prayers.
Yeah,
it's very sad. Yeah. So thank you very much, Dr. Stephen, for that interview. And also that Dr. Angela got really upset about this. She didn't address any of his claims, which were counter her claims. All she really cared about, and you can see this on my ex, because she came at me, why didn't you reach out to me directly? Or why didn't you post directly to me? Or why didn't you get your email or get my email address? Other people have it. I'm like, wow, well, we're just meeting. It's like, wow, why are you talking about marriage already? Like, I'm just finding out who you are. And she didn't tackle anything in his claims, and she denied me an interview. So won't ever be able to hear her side. But the good news is she didn't tackle any claims and say he was wrong. Yeah. She was just upset at how she felt I didn't make enough effort to connect to her because she's so powerful and well-known. I had no idea who she was. In any case, stay tuned. I hope to bring you some more interviews from this story. Primary source, talk to the people. And I also got a copy of his report, Dr. Stephen's report. So I'm going to go through that, share some pieces of it, and share the report for everybody, because the government did suppress through the courts one side of the story. And I'm not surprised. Yeah. Dr. Speaker, speaking of Speaker, he's down in Florida. He met the Florida Surgeon General, who acknowledged his work. The DNA contamination in SV40, which is a promoter of enhancer of sequences. It causes cancer, basically. The layman's version of that is SV40 is known to be cancer causing. And this could be one of the links to why people who got jabbed seem to be having turbo cancer and dying quickly, and rates like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So that could be one of those. So congratulations to Dr. Speaker for being recognized down in Florida. Also in the Congress, they've been using his report, and lots and lots of people are supporting him, but Dr. Angela doesn't. She wanted to make a point about that. She claimed to not know who he was, and then now she doesn't like him. And here's a good way to end the news right now. Men, this is our duty. Women create and care for life. We must protect and provide for life. God bless Billboard Chris for being a man. He's out there putting things, his whole reputation, life, everything on the line. But here's a cute little video of a young man who's protecting possibly his sister from a scary situation. He's obviously scared, but not too scared to protect her. It's in our blood. It's in our DNA, isn't it?
Well, you can't ask. I'm not a man. I don't know.
Well, you're with one. You're with
to
one.
be clear, it's in your DNA, not mine.
No, fair enough, because you're XX, right?
I am XX. Yes.
Yeah. What is a woman? XX, right there.
Yes.
All right. So right on time, I see two handsome gentlemen that are joining us. It's Matt Alexander, and Mario's going to have to help me with his last name. Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Very good.
Great.
Finally, we meet.
Thank you for joining us.
Yep. And we have a lot of similar, circles, but finally circles cross.
Yeah,
Sure. We're absolutely going to get into that in a second too. And good morning, Mario. How are you? I think you're on your side. There you go.
Yeah, good. How are you guys?
Good. How do you say your last name, brother?
Zelaya.
Zelaya?
Zelaya.
Thank you very much. So thank you for joining us. What caught my attention was a post you did, Mario, about Matt, and Live the TikTok picked it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this for our audience to catch them up to speed, and then we'll just jump right into it. Because Mario is the type of account who's posting lots of great information. He does a lot of work, obviously, and they got picked up by Live the TikTok. So we'll go ahead and play this for you. Give you a little bit of background on what we're talking about here.
There's a witch hunt happening, and it's happening to everyday Canadians, people with traditional Canadian knowledge. This is Matt and Nicole Alexander. Thanks to people like you, they're being defended by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. They were both fired. Want to know why? They quietly, not openly and publicly, they quietly refused to celebrate and affirm certain LGBTQ policies at their school. In April, Matt's school suspended him from his grade 7 and 8 classes in relation to social media posts that were made about him. He didn't even have any sort of public social media profiles at the time. His wife found a pride poster taped to the front door of her kindergarten classroom without her consent. And before class, she moved the poster to a classroom cabinet. Later that morning, the principal called her in and suspended her, pending an investigation. They dragged that on for 6 months. Finally, on October 26, 2023, the Renfrew County District School Board fired both of them for not celebrating and affirming LGBTQ issues. Matt, rightfully so, said, "We're seeing a culture where if you don't actively affirm certain views, you're at risk." Case in point, do you remember this teacher in Oakville? This is not Photoshop. This is real. And if I have to say it out loud, this is a man, and the system has bent over backwards to protect him. Higher ups defended him. The Toronto Sun reported that police used to escort him to school. I remember doing an initial video on this when it first happened years ago. It literally got millions of views in Canada and the US, to the point where the New York Post picked it up. They followed him for months. They knew the routine, they knew the car, they knew everything, and they finally got a picture of him. Finally, things got to a climax where several politicians finally got involved. But the end result? He quit. That's how he was removed from the school board. Matt and Nicole, on the other hand, they were fired. And in her case, for removing a poster from the front door of a kindergarten classroom. The double standard is unbelievable. For people who I believe are sick, we punish those who are sane. The state has no business, absolutely no business, promoting any sort of propaganda related to people's sexual preferences. I don't care, and neither do kids. This is absolutely insane. As always, shout out to one of my favorite charities, the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Thankfully, they fight the battles of sanity versus insanity.
Fantastic work, Mario, on that one. I was at the JCCF Gala in Calgary a couple weeks ago where John Carpe was talking about all of this work that they're doing. Mario, let's quickly start with you and then we'll jump into Matt. What caused you to make these videos? Because you do a lot of these TikTok things to get information out there.
I started, I think, almost 2 years ago exclusively on TikTok, and it started originally really just pointing out some of the hypocrisy that was going on And I saw that people really were engaged by it and they really liked it. And I said, okay, so I'm going to start talking about it some more. And the more people engaged with it, the more effort that I put in, and it just became kind of this cycle. And the more I started digging into, and it doesn't really matter what the topic, necessarily was. The more I started realizing, like, we are not in a good place, and there's a lot of issues that are happening in Canada. Like, I've never been involved in politics. I never had interest in it until I realized how much it actually affected our day-to-day lives. And I think that that's really the shift that I think has happened with a lot of the content that I've created. And I think on average, I think right now I might do something like 100 million views a month. And when you're reaching that many people on several platforms, you're starting to reach a wide variety of people. And my goal is to only present like the facts that are there. And I have a good memory of doing these things over time, where I can kind of put certain things together to say why is it that this person who was going 126 kilometers per hour ran through a light, evaded an accident that they got into before, killed a woman, and then he gets put in jail for 4 years. But then Tamara Lich and Chris Barber, the Crown's asking for 8 years. And there's certain things like that I'll put kind of glue together to make people realize, like, what the F is actually happening here. And that this is kind of like I think politics are being political views are being weaponized against people like Matt. And that's kind of effectively what I've been actively speaking out against, to basically educate people and just let them know, that this is what's happening, and this is why our country is where it is today. And it didn't just happen kind of overnight. It didn't just happen. It was this kind of slow progression that immediately snowballed very quickly, I think, after COVID.
You have a very similar origin story to a lot of us. We weren't in this. We're not politicians.
Yeah.
We weren't really paying attention, but we saw the hypocrisy and the craziness. And then like, wait a minute, that can't be right. Why is that happening to them, but not to them? And got all crazy. Now, Matt, has American Eagle reached out? Because you obviously have some pretty good genes. Your two boys are amazing. I've met Josh. He's been on the show. And then Nick, he's out there preaching and taking the hits and literally bleeding over fighting hard. So what was it like, obviously in your home, Christian-based, and you raised excellent children. What are in those genes? Maybe we should get you a commercial.
Yeah, whatever. I don't think it's the genes, Jason. I think it's God. I mean, I give all credit to the Lord for the good points that are in our kids. I know my wife and I put a real focus on raising our kids. We started teaching at the same time. We went to teachers college together. We started our careers together. And after a few years, we had our first child, and my wife said, that's enough. Priority is children. And she packed in the career and raised kids, homeschooled for many, many years. And, as time went on, we put the kids into the school system. And then she went back to teaching. But really, it was our focus. We made a lot of mistakes. I don't doubt for a second, but it was our focus. We wanted children who had a relationship with the Lord, who believed in the word of God and would stand for it, because we knew tough times were going to come. We're talking 20 years ago, but didn't quite know it would look exactly like this, but we knew times were coming. So
now, what was the timeline? Was it Josh standing up in school, then everything unraveled then? Or can you kind of take us through that timeline? So I've gone through Josh's story. I'm just not sure how it relates to you, Nicole, and even Nick.
Yeah, so Josh had been actually very vocal during COVID. Around the trucker convoy, he led some school protests against the mask mandates and so forth, and attracted a little bit of attention, but on a much smaller scale. And we moved him to the Catholic school board in our county. So in Ontario, you have a regular public board and you have a Catholic board. They're both publicly funded. And we moved him over to the Catholic board. And he gets there, and the girls asked him to do something about males in their washer. They were very uncomfortable, very upset by it. So that's where his sort of story erupted. He took his stand and so forth, and long story short, was removed from school for saying that there's two genders and that he was going to hold to his belief, and he's not allowed back. But when he started that, we really didn't face anything in our school board, and we didn't have any. Both my wife and I were teaching in the public board. There was no real response for a long time. Nobody said a word about anything until the spring of 23. So he started November 22 is when he started his stand for girls only washrooms. And in spring of 23, he had his first event down in Toronto at a public school, and that was at York Mills Collegiate. And the hundreds of kids poured out to hear what he had to say. He handed out Bibles to them. They prayed together. It was a very supportive response. And what the school was putting on was a drag queen story hour inside the school in commemoration of the Stonewall riots. And it was kind of a strange event. But Josh and friends put on an opposing event and preached the word of God, well received. And just a few days after that is when I was given the call, don't come back to work. You're under investigation. So connection, I don't know, connect the dots. I don't know, but that's the timing. So I was told to stay home, no information given. And a few weeks after that is when Nicole went to work to her kindergarten classroom early in the morning and finds a pride poster on her door. And she didn't put it there. It wasn't on the other doors around. She just removed it and got on about her day. And shortly thereafter, she was called to the office and asked if she removed the poster, which she said, yes, she did. And they said, okay, you're suspended under investigation. So that's how it all went down.
That sounds on purpose. Okay, so only her door, pride.
Yeah.
And I understand the teachers actually have the ability to go ahead and take care of their door and inside in the classroom.
Yeah.
So it's not even wrong of her to go ahead and say, okay, well, that's not for my classroom, but it sounds targeted. Set her up to have a complaint.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't presume who targeted what. The timings are odd, and I'll leave it at that. I'll let people draw their own conclusion.
Very suspicious. So Mario, when was the first time you heard about this? What compelled you to make this video? And by the way, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but when you're editing, you said double standard, and that's when you put the picture of those big double things on the screen. I'm not sure if that was subliminal or not, but you said, and there's a double standard, and then boom, there's those pictures there. So what got you involved with Matt's situation and covering that?
Someone sent it to me, actually. And so what happens is a lot of the stories that I put out generally are ones that I'm tagged in, or people kind of feed me. And I'll give you a perfect example. Like in Ontario, there's a hospital in London that was that they would induce heart attacks to puppies no older than 2 years old. They kill several hundreds of dogs a year. They would give them heart attacks for several hours. Anyways, long story short, I made a video about it, and Doug Ford ended up shutting it down. But it's because the videos went viral, and that they had such a tremendous amount of public backlash. And I like to focus on things that are, I think, unjust, that do not make sense. And I think Matt's moral compass aligns with, I think, a great majority of Canadians. And so when I heard of his story, and I saw that the JCCF was involved, that's when I knew something was up. As soon as they're involved, and I like to keep in touch with what they do as well, because I think a lot of what they stand for, I would say almost 100% directly aligns with what I stand for and what I talk about. And so I've briefly, had conversations with John Carpe over email. Our schedules didn't align. I know he was in the Greater Toronto area, and we were supposed to get together and just have a coffee. But I'm a huge fan of theirs, and so as soon as I heard Matt's story, I mean, it perfectly lines up with my beliefs. Like my wife, heavy Christian family. I mean, her side of the family. They founded Crossroads. That they're we're talking about my brother-in-law's a pastor, my father-in-law's a pastor. So it's just we're very we raised our family in what I'll say through traditional Canadian values, and a lot of the stuff that Matt talks about and what they believe in. I mean, we're the exact same way, and I don't think it's crazy I think that it should be not only just the norm, but I think we should also accept the fact that we were founded upon the principles that, God reigns supreme. And it's literally the preamble in our Charter of Rights. And we somehow lost recognition or forgotten about that this is what the country was actually founded on. And it's not, aligning with all these, other beliefs that have been imposed by us that literally did not exist a decade ago. And, I've had this conversation with so many friends growing up. Like, how many trans people did you know growing up? Zero. It wasn't a thing. It was a thing where guys used to like wearing women's clothing, and it was never guys believed they were women, and that never. And I think that's a huge difference, because I'm in my mid 40s, and thinking back 30 plus years ago, it was never a thing, and it just seems like it spread like contagion over the last 5 to 7 years. And I think it's something that we really need to recognize, that something is happening in our society, that all of a sudden people are starting to think that they're different genders, and all of a sudden we think it's okay to have flags that depict our sexual preference. And the reality is, despite what my beliefs and their beliefs might be, that I think it comes down to the fact that no one should care who you sleep with. No one should care what gender you want to date. I personally don't care. And there might be others that might not agree with that. Personally, I don't care. Like, you do you be happy, but just don't put it in front of our children. They don't need to be exposed to this at such a young age. Like, we have, my kid was 7 years old at the time, but, he's telling us about the flags, the concerts, these other things that they do. They don't even call it a Christmas concert. The last year they called it a snowy day. They couldn't even call it a holiday concert.
Oh my goodness.
It's just it's a constant erosion of kind of who we are as a society, and it honestly just doesn't end. And I think it's just disgraceful and disgusting, kind of what's happening, because our identity is literally just being replaced by something with that is kind of hollow. And it's something that is I think being imposed by us. And I think we should be doing more for mental health than we are doing for giving away billions of dollars overseas to other countries. And so I think our society needs to shift back into the traditional family values. You look at the fertility rates, you look at the rates of the decline in how many of the family and what the traditional family is like. We are below our replacement levels, and we will kind of cease to exist very soon. And there's a reason why we have this kind of mass importing of people coming into our countries. And it's this kind of concern of, like, we have OAS, we have this old age security, we can't keep up with it. So what do? We got to keep the Ponzi scheme going, because we have all these people retiring. So we got to get people in. And that's the high level thing that the government is basically looking at doing, is they focus on total GDP numbers, not the quality of life, and not the real GDP per capita of what's happening in our country. So that everything that we talk about is kind of intertwined. That's causing us to kind of go into this downward shift.
100%, Mario. And look, I can tell you're speaking from the heart. There's no script and teleprompter in front of you. And this is one of the things that happens with people like us when we're speaking from the heart, because we're really passionate about this. We don't need to read a script. And our side does that a lot, where we are just opening our hearts and getting it all out there. Now, Matt, one of the things that's very common, I've interviewed about 700 people now, very common is God. God seems to be very common amongst the people who are standing up and fighting, and the other side don't have a God. They are their own gods. They identify as their own thing, or the government's their God, and they rely on the government, but they don't have faith anymore. That seems to be very common amongst these different fractions here. JCCF, so I loved how Mario brought that up. At the gala, John Carpe opened with a prayer. So faith is there as well. And it was loved. There was absolutely nobody who didn't enjoy that at all, because it wasn't a land acknowledgement. It was a God acknowledgement. And I think that that's absolutely the way the society needs to get back to it. What are you doing with the JCCF right now? So he brought up the fact that you're working with them. What is the JCCF doing with you? Are you trying to get your jobs back? Like, what's going on with your case with JCCF?
Yeah, so thank God for the JCCF, because we could not afford to do what they're doing. I mean, we've got through crowdfunding, we've got a team of. We don't just have one lawyer. We've got a team working on this, and we're up against some very deep pockets with the school board and the union. So in short, what we're doing is we're taking the school board to the Human Rights Tribunal for a case for myself and a case for my wife. And we're arguing that our human rights and our right to our creed was violated by the school board for terminating us because of our creed, as well as our charter rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, because those are matters that were related to our case. And secondly, the teachers union dropped us. They went along, filed a grievance, and dragged things out for about a year or so, and then eventually dropped us. They refused to go to arbitration regarding our case. They refused to actively pursue the fact that our rights were violated, though they recognized they were. So in response to that, the JCCF is filing a DFR complaint, a duty of fair representation complaint, again, on both of our behalf. So 2 cases at the labor board, and no conclusion on that yet. However, both the school board and the union, in unison, I suppose, they both tried to have our labor board cases quashed, tried to have them dismissed. They both said that our case shouldn't have prima facie standing, and so that was viewed by the labor board, and they rejected their request. So a small win, so a win in the process. Our cases will be heard, so it's good.
Excellent.
That's fantastic, and that's another thing we hear about, where the unions or the associations, the ones that are supposed to protect and back the employee, like Detective Helen Gruce, Ottawa Police Services, plus the Police Association of Ontario, are failing her, and the Police Association denied supporting her in her claim to fight against Ottawa Police Services. And it was kind of sad what the reason was, because Helen asked, "Why are you not supporting me on this one?" And they said, "Well, we're actually drafting that rule right now, so we'll get back to you." So they changed their rules and basically said, "Well, if it's insubordination, we're not going to protect you." But it's still an accusation. It's a claim. It hasn't been proven, but you can be charged by Detective Helen Gruce's group at the time, which was child assault and sexual SACA, so sexual assault, child abuse. Yeah, that was her department. So you can be charged by her department and be protected by the association and have your defense paid for. But if they claim that you're being insubordinate, then they're not going to. So we call that the Gruce rule. We say that 100 times. Happen all over the place now. Mario, 100 million views. You did a video and made Doug Ford move. You actually have quite a bit of power now. And with Libs of TikTok picking up, is that the first time they did that for you? And do you have any plans on how you want to keep doing this? Are you going to expand? Are you going to become bigger? 200 million, 1 billion? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, so that's the first time I think Libs of TikTok. I only saw it by chance, and maybe there is another video. I don't know. It depends on the day. Like I turn off all my notifications. There's just too much that comes in, and so usually a lot of the stories that I am able to check, a lot of it is actually by luck and by chance, and it's by timing. And I'll give you a perfect example. Like I logged into Facebook, let's say over a month ago, and I just randomly saw you were just tagged literally in real time. And I said, okay, I'll check it out. I have the time. And I look at the video, and it ends up being a video of a guy showing me a bridge, and everyone's like, tag Mario, tag Mario, tag Mario. And it's up in Muskoka, and it's got a bunch of shell casings on it. And you probably know where I'm going with this now. And so that's how it all started. It all started with this video that had maybe 1,000 views on it in a very small Facebook group that I had to, I think, request access to get to. And then when I saw the video, I said, I have everything I need. And so I made a series of 2 videos. And I would estimate, and I don't count views on videos or topics, but I would estimate between those 2, it probably got 5 to 6 million views just on my account alone. And when that happens, other people pick it up. Then the momentum starts going through, and then all of a sudden, it went from, originally in the comments, it was like the police know about it, and they said there's nothing they can do, and that they know that these people come there, there's nothing that they can do. And so, I made a video about it, and then of course, Doug Ford had to comment on it, I think the next day, saying like OPP's investigating it, and then they had to lay charges, and it became like a national news story. And I think Joe Warmington and the Toronto Sun picked it up, and I think it was front page news. So it ended up becoming a major issue because I was able to kind of just take this snowball and push it down a very big mountain. And so for a lot of issues that exist, that's fundamentally my goal. The most recent one I would say, which probably got quite a bit of momentum, is the issue with Canadian Tire, as an example. And so we talk about foreign workers, temporary foreign workers coming to Canada, taking our jobs. We have record high youth unemployment rate. But how is it any different if you're taking Canadian jobs and then moving it to India? And so I talked about that being a major issue, and how Donald Trump is actually looking at implementing a 25% export tax for companies that do that, where they remove these jobs. And we're talking about corporations that are making $16 billion in revenue a year. And so how fair is it that, these great Canadian jobs that once existed are then being shipped overseas to Canada? That's actually worse than the temporary foreign worker program, because at least the temporary foreign worker moves into our country and their earnings and their spending stays within this economy. In the latter situation of Canadian Tire, those funds are going overseas and they're staying overseas. We see nothing just other than the expense item on the financials of Canadian Tire. So it ends up becoming a very big issue. And so my whole thing is like, look, if the elbows up crowd is so big on buy Canadian, why not hire Canadian? Like, why is no one speaking about this? Like, why are the Liberals not addressing this major issue? And they blame it on AI. And they'll say, oh, because AI and innovation, we're going to have to get rid of all these IT jobs. It's not AI. If AI is Indian, then AI is India. That's what it is, and the jobs are going there. And this isn't necessarily to call out a particular country, but in general, it is happening, and it's having a major effect on our economy. And the thing is, we probably have a once in a lifetime opportunity right now with the Trump administration charging $100,000 for the H-1B visas, which predominantly mean a lot of tech companies, they want to hire people from overseas, bring them to the U.S. And Donald Trump said, no, we're not doing that. You're going to hire American. You're going to hire American engineers from now on. We don't need people from overseas when we have such great talent here. So if those people are being denied elsewhere, we could literally have some of the cream of the crop for some of the higher end roles coming into Canada. But it's hard to do that when we're just shipping all the jobs overseas and there's nothing here anyways.
Absolutely, and maybe AI means advancing India. Who knows? Maybe that's what they're trying to do there. And you bring up a whole bunch of issues that are absolutely things that we cover on this show, whether it's temporary foreign workers, whether it's exporting our talent and jobs, and the programs that the Liberals seem to be putting in place. It's pretty insane. Matt, one of the things I did want to talk to you about was Nick and Josh and their current efforts. Nick, we saw another video where he was attacked by Antifa. Yep. And the police took him away in cuffs. And we're seeing how the police are now starting to protect one side and removing us from the conversations, even though it's getting violent. And it's happened all over Toronto, Ottawa, and not so much out here in Alberta yet, but I suspect it might come this way. So what are your thoughts when Josh stands there and he walks away with a bloody eye, eating his apple, and then the police put him in cuffs? Oh, sorry, Nick. Yeah. Sorry, Nick.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we're seeing. The police, I think there's a couple of angles to it. For one, it's the path of least resistance. You choose to arrest the people that won't cause you any harm, won't put up a fight. They're not the violent ones. So it's much easier to defuse a situation and just take away the peaceful person and initially blame them just to release them without any charges. So that's the easy road. Secondly, you have to wonder what's going on, what the orders are from above, because I've got all kinds of footage of police just refusing to address Antifa type violence, trans activist violence, right on the street. You'll watch an old man get thrown to the ground by some young guy in a rainbow cape, and the police won't do anything about it. They tell you, "Oh, go to the station and report it," and they're standing right there doing nothing. So that's the pattern we see, and we as Canadians seem to have just accepted that that's how it is, and we let our streets be taken over. Mario mentioned, but why nobody will speak up about hiring Canadian. Well, I think we've allowed I call it a Marxist narrative, to take over the conversation in our country, and we've voluntarily submitted to their parameters. And so, if you were to say, "Hey, we need to hire Canadian," well, that'll be tagged as racist. And people are afraid to be called racist. I'm not. I'm not afraid to be called whatever. I stand for what I stand for. I'm not hateful. I'm not racist. I'm not bigoted. I have beliefs and I stand by them, and I treat everyone equally. And if I see a wrongdoing, I'll call it out. So people can call you whatever you want. If you're afraid of what they're going to call you, then you've submitted. You've given up, and you've handed the nation over to the other side.
Well, I'm going to call you a brother. When you hear Mario talk about things like, "Hey, I just happen to go into Facebook and happen to see this and happen to see that," that sounds a little divine, a little bit of hand of God, because I see that happen a lot on our side too. Like right at the right time, the right information, and the right person, and all that kind of stuff is just popping up. What are your thoughts when you hear Mario talk like that? Is it just a coincidence, or maybe something more there?
I mean, God knows where to put things. And Mario's got a platform, and he knows if there's a message to get out, he's going to give it to people with those platforms. I mean, my account's a fraction of the size of his, but it's similar things. I get people with very tiny accounts show me something, I'll give it, and it multiplies it 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And Mario's blessed with a huge platform and is able to play those things out. And then for libs of TikTok and Wall Street apes and so forth to pick it up from there. So yeah, God knows where to put the message. It's up to us to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what happened here. Like, I don't scroll YouTube or Facebook or X a lot or anything like that, but just popped up, lived to TikTok. There's Mario. I'm like, I've seen him before. What's going on here? I know that family and I know that story. And I'm glad Lib of TikTok's picking up, because that's a huge market down in the US and the rest of the world. Same thing happened here, Mario. What are your thoughts about that? And we got to wrap it up because we got to get you to your next meeting. I think you had a full morning there, Mario.
Yes, I do. No, I think everything happens for a reason. And, I think a lot of it is, I think there's divine intervention that does happen. And I think, God does come into play, and I don't doubt it for a second. A lot of the stuff that I did, I never did it for any other purpose, and I never did it. It was more of an outlet, I think, for me to kind of get my thoughts out. And it's just something that grew organic. I purposely do not monetize my platform. And that's the one thing I've been very transparent about with people is I don't do it for monetization. I do it for change. And that to me is the ROI. And that's, I think it goes a long way where people, see that, I'm giving up a good amount of, sponsorship, a good amount of money. I could make a living off of this, but I don't. I choose to do it basically, I guess in a way, pro bono, to really educate the public and for them to see what's truly happening to our country, so we can all push for the change that we need to get things back on track.
That's fantastic. And you're right. With like 100 million views, you certainly could turn this into a living. But, you have to give and sacrifice, and you're definitely doing that. Matt, you as well. Two of your sons standing forward like that. You have some final words for our audience today, Matt?
Yeah, I'd say, in our society, what we need to do is we need to speak up. And if you think something, you believe something, you need to say it. You do not be afraid. And that's the only way you're going to see any change in our society. So speak up. Don't be afraid. And specifically in schools, speak up. Get in there and talk to your principals and your vice principals, administrators, and teachers. Get to know them. Find out what it is that they are teaching, because there's a lot going on in the schools that parents aren't aware of.
And run for school board trustee.
Yeah, like Paula is.
That's what I'm doing.
She's fighting there. Well, I still say they're God-given great genes you've got there. Maybe there's some future with you in a jean outfit. Who knows?
Denim.
But have yourself a wonderful day, both of you. God bless you both. Thanks a lot for making the time, and I really appreciate it. And we'll cross paths again soon.
Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye. Wonderful, man. Finally, we're meeting the whole Alexander clan right after forgetting their name. And now we get to meet Matt. How special is that? Yeah, it was so... there's so much going on there. Yeah. But thanks to everybody for hanging out. I saw the chat was pretty active. People really enjoy these kind of things. Our numbers are growing. So do share this out. Make sure you bring this to other people so they can find out what's going on. And we'll continue to have guests just like Matt and Mario and more coming. Lathan Gray, we got Clyde Do Something, and a whole bunch of people coming on this week. So stay tuned for that. And any final comments from my little trustee in waiting here?
No, but I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Have yourself a wonderful day, everybody. Take care of each other. Love you all, and God bless.